Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, I'm getting this video out later than usual because the issues in regards to the teeth, especially the two top ones, well, finally, this started become extremely like shooting pains directly into the bearing stem. Bad. So I basically spent yesterday going from one doctor's office that does take the new Aetna insurance for dental, but not the particular kind that I had, to be able to get in somewhere else about 4 p.m. yesterday. At the very least, they were able to get me antibiotics. It looks like these particular teeth up here are not just melting due to acid reflux, but apparently also have cavities as well as gums receding and a whole lot of issues. I've got my fingers crossed that my current plan will at least cover the bulk of it. But yeah, with how things have gone previously in regards to my teeth, I don't have a whole lot of hope. So I'm expecting the worst and, hoping for the best there. All right, we're going to go through the disclaimers here and get you all back to your day. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by Neuroclastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. Neuroclastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article, share on all your social media. Also included is Neuroclastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Trigger warning 3. We are barely through the first part of this particular document, and it is already gaslighting us straight into hell. You're going to see the same repetitive arguments that the JRC has brought to these different types of proceedings decade after decade after decade. And they do so in spite of the fact that not only have those comments been addressed, they've been addressed multiple times and addressed to quite a great deal of detail. The JRC continues with their rant as though we submitted. It's like they're trying to pretend that we have not addressed the comments that they have brought up. The equivalent of a toddler sticking their fingers in their ears and humming really loudly when they don't want to do something that they need to do. Okay? Be prepared for that, because they always do that. They continue to act like these have not been addressed, and the reason why they act that way is because, well, they couldn't have been really looked at from their point of view, because if we did, we would agree that this is the best thing. when literally everything else points to the exact opposite. So just be aware, we are going to get gaslit 6 ways from Sunday, and we're going to be forced to go through the same arguments that have already been debunked multiple times. If I were to give you an equivalent, I would say look at your anti-vaxxers who are still convinced to this day that the MMR vaccine causes this. It doesn't. Not even remotely. Nor have I ever been shown a single study that implicates any of these life-saving vaccines do anything but help take care of us. But I digress. Alright, so where we left off the other day here. In short, the fundamental flaw in the proposed ban is that the FDA fails to completely recognize that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to the targeted, individualized medical care that is critical to the tiny group of persons to whom the ban would actually apply. JRC, you know that's bullshit. You know that I know that it's bullshit. We have already dissected your so-called behavior modification program, of which the GED is just a small part of your overall complete insanity. Okay? Please spare me the bullshit. Your programs have been scrutinized over with great attention to detail since you ended up killing your first 2 students. Okay? But one size doesn't fit all, and this tiny group has to have it, because nothing else works, in spite of the fact that you have never answered at any point in time whether those individuals, before coming to you, had a proper full functional behavioral assessment done or not. Because you just taking these kids in and putting them on a human shock device with no full functional behavioral assessment to act as the cornerstone on which any true successful program should be built off of, and then still beat your chest and saying that, no, it's the FDA that wants to do the cookie cutter approach. Really? Really? And like I remarked in one of the previous videos, as a matter of fact, all our advocacy groups, the professionals and treatment programs, community-based and residential, have brought to your attention that specific fact repeatedly. Because here's the thing, you can't have your cake and eat it too, JRC. You can't claim on one hand, not one size fits all approach, which we are well aware of. You can't use that as an argument to justify your GED device, very stupidly I might add. While on the other hand, in order to talk down about the other treatment programs that's literally used by everyone goddamn else, you will say, well, it's obviously not effective if it only works on 60% of the folks who are a part of those programs. Okay? You can't claim on one end, not one size fits all, and then on the other hand, try to say that none of these other treatment programs will work because it's not successful on 100% of the individuals who go on those plans. Okay? Please stop with the gaslighting stupidity. The fact of the matter is, you do not believe that anyone is non-biased when they go after the GED device unless they agree with you, which is the exact opposite of what being objective actually is. Okay? I live in a special level GOP MAGA hellscape out here in Southwest Missouri. If our programs out here every day treating individuals with the very same issues you all have detailed and your abuse apologist bullshit, if those programs like at ARC or NOVA, at Judifine, Abilities First, all these different programs have consumers with the same types of troubling behavior, yet they have been able to treat those folks with success using the mainstream treatments and programs that have literally been out for nearly the last 4 decades. You don't have anything to stand on. You can't on one end say, well, the route you want us to go is obviously not going to be successful because there's only a 60% success rate. And then on the other hand, try to accuse the FDA of the very thing that you yourselves are guilty of. Show me that you can actually start before getting kids into your programs giving a full functional behavioral assessment. And JRC, I do not mean your bastardized version of it. I mean the current, as by the Massachusetts state, what's accepted literally at every other program or treatment clinic. That full functional behavioral assessment first. Because you can throw your kids into every successful program in the country and even on planet Earth. But if you don't have a foundation to go off of to build a plan that's going to best address the very specific issues of those kids, of course it's going to fail over and over and over again. You're building a program based on wind. Treatment programs built on nothing but guesswork are going to fail over and over and over again because you're driving blind. You're not trying to get to the triggers. If you want to successfully best assist and at least bringing down to a baseline the more dangerous behaviors for those of us who share my diagnosis, the easiest, best, most logical way to deal with it is to do that proper full functional behavioral assessment first, and then start laying in more groundwork so we can find what those triggers are that is causing the behavior, and then continuing to build off of that. Going directly to a punishment model, because parents who were not taught or advised better are sending them to school after school, community program after community program, and nothing working, because these are treatment programs based on error. They can be the number one in regards to mental health in the country if there is no full functional behavioral assessment there to deal with the specific issue of that kid. It's going to fail. Period. So, for the love of God, stop gaslighting us. It's an insult to our intelligence. Okay? And to say, but this small, tiny population, nothing else works. And you all don't understand because you've never dealt with kids this severe with such virulent, dangerous types of behavior is absolute and utter bullshit. Okay? The math isn't mathing. All right? Please spare me the insanity and quit trying to push your sins onto everyone else. All right, let me continue here. Had the FDA recognized it would necessarily have had to undertake a thorough analysis of all available data and information, consider the reliant interests of the individuals who have been using the device for years, evaluate the efficacy of controls already in place to account for the safety of the evidentiary proceeding, with testimony and cross-examination where facts and data can be received and challenged in a meaningful manner. How dumb are you people? I'm asking for multiple friends here. The FDA has painstakingly, for almost a decade, addressed every single accusation, every single comment, every single falsehood, and they've gone over everything repeatedly in detail. And the JRC, you all just plunge through like they've said nothing at all. You do not address any of the concerns that we have brought up. You have not addressed the multiple ER documents that document the second and third degree burns, the loss of feeling on the body where those electrodes were attached to. You have addressed nothing. Nothing. And I'm sorry, but in regards to medical devices, we cannot operate in regards to safety of a device on just trust me bruh evidence. Okay? Number two, in regards, but you haven't looked at these studies because your studies are garbage. Ross Perot is spinning at like warp speed in his grave because of what you put forward as so-called evidence in a clinical study. There was no controls. It was not marked in regards to changes in behavior, whether that could be determined as part of the positive, so-called positive part of the program, or whether it was in regards to device. There are third graders doing science projects every school year who are able to put together more coherent reports than whatever the hell that was supposed to be. Okay? The reason why those studies have, the reason why we've told you repeatedly that those studies prove absolutely nothing and are not worth the death of the poor tree that had to be cut down to have that nonsense printed on it. Is because the only reports not cooked up within the JRC itself are so old that they are completely irrelevant to the subject at hand. No one with two brain cells to rub together is ever going to hold a clinical study done back in the 1970s to the same level of authority as a study that just came out days ago, months, years ago, in regards to those other programs' success in dealing with, yes, JRC, those who have exhibited the very same types of behaviors that get those poor kids sent to your hellhole. Okay? Enough. Your comments have been addressed ad nauseum by multiple people, advocates, professionals, doctors, and some of the largest community-based and residential programs in the United States. From individuals who are literally the very top of their fields that have told you no. Just stop. Spare all of us. Save a few poor trees. They don't deserve to have your regurgitated, ever cycling bullshit to be printed on what came from their barks. All right? Okay. Let's continue here. But it's a flaw because they would have looked and see, look, it's safe. This report that Dr. Israel, the head of the damn school, created shows that it's safe. You understand why that makes it worse, right? Right? You can't rail against the FDA not being objective while insisting that they give importance to whatever the hell that was that Dr. Israel put up there with no controls, no nothing, and grade school graphs. Hence the Ross Perot. All right, let me continue. With testimony and cross-examination. Now, I want to make another point, JRC. This is not a lawsuit. You're talking about witness testimony, cross-examination. This is to ban a medical device. You are not in court. So why in the name of God do you think there needs to be a cross-examination? If you want us to sue you and force your hand into discovery, we would be more than happy to do so. Fuck around and find out. But that's not what the FDA is doing. This is not a court case. You are not being sued, more's the pity. This is in regards to banning a device that has been proven repeatedly to be dangerous to kids. Okay? So the idea of cross-examination doesn't even make any form of coherent sense. Okay? You want all that? actually answer instead of paying others behind closed doors. Allow the JRC to actually be subject to discovery. Then maybe we can talk. Otherwise, spare me the nonsense. I can't deal with this level of stupid folks. I'm in a large amount of pain, and I have no patience for it. Done. All right, let me continue here. But we want to challenge the data in a meaningful manner. We've been asking you to challenge the results for over 4 fucking decades. Do you understand that, JRC? Folks, they have been asked multiple times. Multiple times. To actually provide real data from a truly objective source that backs their bullshit. And they can't. That's why they have to cobble up their monstrosity of a so-called clinical study. Because the rest of the medical world has moved on. They don't agree to physical aversives being a part of the treatment programs. And those clinics that usually handle studies like this have refused at every single turn, citing ethical concerns and concerns in regards to human rights being violated over and over and over again. One of those being the Yale research area. You know, the same folks who thought nothing about shooting radiation into our brains, like an irradiated lobotomy. And those people refuse to do those studies in regards to the so-called success of your GED, citing human rights and ethical concerns. Like, y'all need to take a moment of silence and, like, think about that for a second. Okay? Just saying. In its haste to invade a space historically occupied only by medical professionals and their patients and caregivers, however, the FDA cast aside those mandatory inquiries by violating 21 USC and the Constitution. The Constitution. Well, JIC, I have some very bad news for you all. As a matter of fact, within the year 2023, Congress went back and amended things in regards to the FDA's authority that allows them to enforce this ban whether you agree or not. It is actually now completely under their authority. They didn't have to open up the comments to you all. They have full authority to just push through this ban. But as a way to make things transparent, they have opened up the comments so that you all can still have your insane say. Okay? Which means that is the very exact opposite of bias. Okay? To get real, JRC, you've been given chance after chance after chance after chance, decade after decade after decade, to provide literally anything at all that is a current study with proper controls that agrees with your insanity. Not one single time. Every single research institute, clinic, doctor's offices, and what have you have refused to conduct those studies because of its violation of human rights. Please spare me the bullshit. Because the only people who is having their civil and human rights violated are those poor students you have stuck on that device. That is a fact. And the Constitution. But they have right to proper and safe health care. Yes, they do. JRC, yes, they do. Which is why you need to be closed down. Completely. So they actually can have others come in, get those proper assessments done, and they can be sent to sane places and put together a treatment program that works with what's triggering these behaviors. Right? All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and close out. I am sorry for the mess you've seen behind me, but in my defense, a lot of that is weight. Because, yeah, in spite of being in a huge amount of pain, decided I still needed to exercise because even when I'm in pain, I insist on I have to do normal routine. Alright, we don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. Folks, if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to use the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. And I don't know, folks, pray for me that at the end of the day, I'll be able to cover everything that needs to be done with the gums and teeth. Because this crap is not fun. Bye-bye, everyone.